I love it. Wait, I actually like really love that shirt.
Yeah. So it's so nice to be back. And today we're going to talk about a really interesting topic, which is being an entrepreneur when you're highly sensitive or an empath. And we're going to discuss a bit of the benefits of being a highly sensitive entrepreneur and also the downsides to it. So it's really interesting if you're looking into becoming an entrepreneur and doubting if it's the right thing for you. Definitely stay tuned because it's going to be an interesting talk for you. So
Yeah, I'm sure it's something that's going to come up multiple times,
Yeah.
But today will be a good like intro as to like what our experiences are and sort of what to do and how to deal with those times that it's stressful.
Yeah. So I wonder who of us became an entrepreneur first, actually. Like,
I think it's interesting because like this feels like it happens to me often where I'll connect with someone like meaningful in my life and it turns out that they are going through something that I am going through or like had just gone through it or something like synchronistic like that. And I feel like with a lot of different things that we're on the same sort of journey, but you were like a month ahead of me. Like I think you started HiSensitives a few months before I like actually launched like a website and started my coaching business. And it was the same thing like with Bailey and stuff,
Yeah. I think HiSensitives, we launched officially on the 1st of November 2018 with the socials and website. And before that, of course, there was already some work in progress to get the whole thing set up, but that was all in the background. Right. So like we were first visible, and when I'm saying we, I'm talking about me and my fiance. By the way,
I was gonna say you talk about Randy.
Is also part of HiSensitives. He's the web developer, so that's what I mean when I say we. But we started basically already in June last year, and it all started with a symbol, as I talked about in the previous video, which I designed for highly sensitive people, and I really got so much response on it that was positive, and which also connected me with Tiara in the end. And eventually I got inspired to create a community for highly sensitive people and empaths to connect with each other and to be able to create new friendships and to work on their personal growth together and to really create a life that makes them happy. And it's just funny because Tiara does something similar, only from the coaching perspective. So
Right, yeah, we're both supporting like the same market but just different services, which is what makes like this partnership and connection like so awesome.
Yes.
I got my certification like officially December of 2018, so I think I was just like a couple months behind you in terms of like launching a website and everything.
I think so. It was really it was really parallel to each other, I think.
Yeah, which I kind of like because I think when I first reached out to you, I was worried like, oh, she's going to have this already established business and she's not going to want to like carry me along, But it's interesting because I feel like we've both grown in different ways, like sort of like, I don't know, and helping each other. And it's just been really cool.
Yeah, it's
a cool partnership.
It was very useful, and it still is very useful to have a highly sensitive entrepreneur friend, because a lot of the entrepreneurs that I see online do not have the trait, so they have different circumstances, and they
it's been really good to get support from each other and also like brainstorm ideas, because I think we've both given each other like really good like, oh, I didn't think of that, like that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So I really appreciate it, and I think we've grown so much throughout the year, and fallen and stood up again, and fallen and stood up again, and that times 10.
Right. And I feel like we've helped pick each other up, which has been really good.
And I think that's also maybe the first tip that at least I think also you also have for those who want to start out as a highly sensitive entrepreneur, to get somebody who's similar to you and in a similar journey, to just be able to relate with and to talk about business ideas with and to talk about struggles with. And it just definitely helps to grow as an entrepreneur and to feel less lonely, because it can be lonely sometimes. That's one of the downsides, that like when you're working from home all day long, you don't have coworkers to vent to, so sometimes you can really get stuck in your head, which highly sensitive people do a lot anyway. So it's good. It's very good.
Yeah, I mean, like even because we'll talk about self-improvement in general, like all the time, because that's kind of both very strong theme in both of our branding and our businesses. But like having someone who's going through the same thing, who can offer you support in any area of your life, like anytime we've like talked about relationship stuff or just like being highly sensitive or improving, you know, boundaries or whatever, like anytime you have something that you're trying to improve, it's so much more likely that you'll succeed and keep going if you have someone with you. And that's the whole mentality behind coaching in my business. So I guess I'll give a little background on like because you described like what your business is and how you got there.
Please.
So I got a degree in photography, and I know you got a media degree, so you were like working in media, and then kind of used that in your own business later, which is like obviously awesome to have that skill, because that's some of the stuff you've helped me with. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Like, what is social media? Yeah. And how does this thing work? Yeah. And then, so for me, I got a degree in photography, and I had like a background in theater and just like art, you know, creative, like studio arts stuff. And I graduated college and like went into a corporate job, and I loved doing photography, but I was working for this company that I didn't really like, I couldn't really stand behind them. I didn't really believe in a lot of like what their, you know, their message was or what their values. And it was just seemed like it was backwards, like didn't really value their employees and whatever. So that was hard for me, but I loved what I was doing because I liked being creative. But then there was also this part of me that was like, I want to do something more meaningful. Like it didn't feel at the end of the day like I did something great for society and the world. And, you know, and I've always kind of felt like I wanted to do something like that would help people in some big way, you know. And then like I was always really interested in health and nutrition and wellness and stuff. And then I came across this, actually, I think it was an ad on Instagram for this like coaching institute. It's called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And I saw it and I was like, oh, you can become like a health coach, like a wellness coach within like 6 months. And I was like, that sounds awesome. Because I was at that point where I had quit my photography job and had no idea like what I wanted to do. So I did that program, and it was like just the coolest like life program. And so I graduated from that with this like coaching certification. I'm like, okay, now what do I want to do with this? And actually, I think it was like two or 3 years ago now that I had discovered the highly sensitive person like phrase on a YouTube video. It was just like divine intervention.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I was doing that day. It just popped up like this. I think it was like, I'll put the link in the description later. It was like the subtle power of being highly sensitive or something. I'm like, highly sensitive, that sounds like it could be me. And I watched the video and I was like, oh my God, this is like, what is this? And then I just went on like a deep dive, like learning about the trait. And anyway, so eventually it just became clear because I was like learning about the trait while I was kind of pursuing this like coaching thing. And then eventually I was like, oh my God, it makes so much sense. Just like put the two together, and that I just have been really passionate about that ever since. So
yeah, and I think that's a passion we share, like working with and for highly sensitive people, and from different angles, because you really help people to you are like this kind of person in their life that helps them to get in the right direction again, and to help to deal with their trait as a highly sensitive person. And I facilitate more those connections for highly sensitive people to connect.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I'm like the guide on the side, and you're like the person, you're like the sheep herder, like bringing everyone together.
Bring everyone together.
Yeah.
That would be the best. That's like our dream. And it will be awesome if we realize that in the future, to just connect highly sensitive people and empaths worldwide. That would be
right. And giving them, well, because I think that was how yours started, was like you wanted to it was about community, like bringing people together. And then you added this piece of like, well, I also want to offer them resources. Like it's not just a meeting place, it's also like, improve your life, you know?
Yeah, because we blog about personal growth a lot, and offer tools, and we want to connect highly sensitive people with coaches, and just to be really this facilitating role in the HSP community. So I think it is really nice to have that role, and as a media expert you can take that role, you know, so it's really nice.
Right. Yeah. I think I'll pause here for just a sec because I think Winter's at the door. She's got a lot of energy.
All right, that's going to be fun. Maybe she will join the screen as well.
I know, she'd have to like hop up on my bed, which would be like a whole thing. Wait, I wonder if I can. My room is like oh, hi. You see, my room is like so messy. It's just, I'm living in a really small room right now, so it's like everything's on top of each other. What was that noise, Winter?
I heard it too.
She like rarely makes, look at her trying to fit through the cat door. No.
She's like, girl, I need attention.
Of course, I show my insanely messy room on camera, but hey,
Oh,
it is what it is.
I also have a mess at home, so don't worry.
Everything's like stacked.
I get it. I had the same. When I broke up with my previous boyfriend, I had a small room, which was like 9 square meters. And I had no bed. I had like such a small mattress to start out with. I had no closet. I had to buy everything from scratch. It was
Oh my God.
everything was just stacked up. Like, so it was really a challenge. So,
But sometimes I feel like that's like the universe telling you to like get a clean slate and start over, like energy wise. Because I had this weird experience where like all of my electronics started dying and things just like
yes.
started whatever. Like it just felt like the universe was trying to give me like a whole new set of everything.
Yeah, it felt like that too for me. Yeah, definitely. And it was good. It was the right move. So in the end, the energy was much better. So
Right.
sometimes you
Yeah.
need to get rid of all your stuff and just start over again, you know? Yeah.
Yep. Sometimes that's necessary. It's like you
Yeah.
hit rock bottom so that you can rebuild, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I felt like that. That's also why I wanted to start entrepreneurship, because I felt like back then already on the verge of a burnout. And I decided to get into entrepreneurship because I wanted to be more aligned with myself, with my health, with what my body is telling me, when to take a break, and that worked well for a really long time. I loved that's like when I started entrepreneurship, it was just like freedom, finally, hallelujah.
Yeah.
It was just so relieving to not have to fit into the pace that society is trying to push on you, and to do
Right.
things your own pace, you know. And I think that's the biggest benefit of being an entrepreneur, to be able to do so. Yeah, I think so.
Right. Sort of work the way that's best for you and like make your own decisions,
Yeah,
schedule. Yeah. I think the probably the hardest part is in the beginning, you know, like, I mean, I'm sure it's still a challenge as things grow, because obviously you have different challenges you're dealing with. But that's the hard part I think that we've been struggling with, like in the beginning, is that first part of like creating the business, and then you're building everything in the beginning. And so you're not necessarily like generating income at a steady rate that you would be if you just like
yeah,
joined another company, you know, and started working immediately.
yeah. It's very
So it's like this balance between like, because you want to pour all your energy into it in the beginning to like get the ball rolling, but you can't. You're not like a robot. You have to still take breaks. And
break. Yeah, yeah. And I
yeah,
definitely ran into that. Like the past months, I've been at the point where I really wanted to generate more income, and then yeah, suddenly that dream of doing things in your own pace got pushed away a bit, and I started to do more and more and more, and without recognizing it, I just really got a
yeah,
downward spiral, because I was just pushing myself too hard. And that's something like you really have to watch out for when you're an entrepreneur, to not go past your limits, and because you're so enthusiastic about reaching all your goals, to not go past your limits in the progress, because in the end it will work counterproductive, and you will get stuck, and you will feel even more frustrated, and it just will be like this.
right. It's just this cycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because we decided to talk about this topic like a few days ago, and then like that we were going to talk about this today, and I was like doing pretty well not pushing myself, and then I just launched this like new program and all the marketing for it, so I've been getting really excited about it, and I've had all these ideas like flying around in my head of all these worksheets and, you know, journaling exercises and stuff that I wanted to put together for my clients. And so the past few days, like all I've been doing is creating these documents, and it's like I'm so excited about it that I like don't want to disengage from it. But like as we've been talking here, like I don't know if you get this, but my eye is twitching.
Oh, I
Like
don't.
my eyelid is twitching. Yeah. And this only happens to me, like happens to my brother and my mom too, which is like I think part of why I'm aware of it, is that like when I get overly worked or like stressed, it's a sign of stress basically to have like your upper eyelid or like lower eyelid twitch, like
Yeah,
spaz.
but then it's
And
really
so I'm like, oh, this is funny that we're talking about burnout because this is happening to me. And I'm like, I know that I pushed myself too hard the past couple
yeah.
of days.
But take it from me, like step back now and don't feel guilty about it. Just take a day
Right.
off, even if it's a
Yeah.
month. Just take a day off and really relax. You know, because
Right.
it's going to be so much better. I do the same too now, because I talked to you about it earlier, that I'm feeling like I'm at the beginning of a burnout, not really in it yet, like people who are
Right.
called in sick for like months, but that I feel if I push myself now like this for 2 more months, I will be there, so right now I'm just working half days and taking a step back and just focusing.
Right. Well, I think like you get that way from experience of being able to recognize it, because that's probably the biggest problem is if you can't recognize like the signs to be able to catch it before it gets to that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I first I put together all the puzzle pieces, because I was experiencing some symptoms, like not the twitching I like to say, but like really fatigue, like that I was really tired, or that I suddenly couldn't concentrate that well anymore, and that I during conversations suddenly was fading away from it in some way. I don't know how to explain it, but all of those put together,
I totally get that.
Yeah, and those symptoms put together are like the first indicators of a burnout. So I'm like aware of it because I obviously read a lot about it with my job and by blogging a lot about different mental health things. So I'm happy that I know it and can recognize it in time. But I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't recognize it in time, and that's like the biggest pitfall when you're an entrepreneur, that you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe we should like make a list right now, like of all the signs. Because for me, it's like obviously this twitchy eye thing, which I'd forgotten about until it just started happening. I'm like, oh, this is funny that this is happening like on this video. And then for me, it's like brain fog, where you're just like, I can't like yesterday I was helping my roommate put together a bed frame, and we were like counting the screws and making sure and I love building stuff. So I was like super excited about it, but it finally became aware to me that my brain was like not working, was like, we're trying to count the screws. It was like an IKEA bed frame, and it comes with like all the, like a ton of stuff. And I'm like, oh, we need, like, I'm counting them. And I'm like, oh, we need 8 for this side and 8 for this side. And I was like looking at the manual, and it said 16 screws, like that you needed for this step. And I was like, but that sounds like too many. And she's like, but you just said like 8 and 8, like that's 16. And I'm like, oh my God,
but
like basic math is not working. Like
what's happening, once you get overworked, even the most simple things become a bit complicated. And
right. Yeah, your brain, it's just like things are misfiring in your brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also like I also recognize it with sleep, that I slept worse, and during the day I was so tired, so I wanted to take a nap in the afternoon. But at night when I want to sleep, or when I can sleep, it's just too busy in my mind. So
right, I was just gonna say, it almost feels like the days that I'm like running at a certain speed, it's like when I go to lay down, my brain is still like running at that speed, and I can't. It's so much harder to fall asleep. On those days that you're like going full speed,
Yeah, that's why, because that's one of the lessons I learned as an entrepreneur, because in the past I scheduled meetings at like really late in the evening for business, like sometimes at 9 p.m. because I had international relations, so I had to fit to their time as well. And then I went to bed immediately after the meeting, and I just was awake until 2 a.m. in the night, because my brain was just progressing everything that was told that I heard during the meeting. And that's, I think, something that's really important for highly sensitive people as well, to just be aware of that their brain needs more downtime in the evening before going to bed, and that you don't go to bed with too many ideas in your mind. Write them down, or just really take it easy before bedtime.
It's fun. I mean, everything is so synchronistic. It's just hysterical when you pay attention. But so like last night, or like a few hours ago, I posted on my social, I don't even know if you saw it yet. I posted a post about not being able to sleep because I had too many thoughts in my mind, and how I had to keep opening my phone app to write them down, like my notes app on my phone to write them down.
Oh my God, yeah. I haven't read it yet, so it's funny. Like
it's so like exactly what you just said, It's just funny.
But it's good to write it down. And also
absolutely. I mean, it's probably better to have like a notebook by the bed instead of, because like the phone light is not good for you to be looking at. So I should get like a journal or something,
Definitely. Yeah, and I also, like, in the mornings, I try to start my day off with the right energy. So the first thing I do now in the morning to get out of this burnout feeling, it's like this feeling like, oh, I can't get out of bed. And what I do now in the morning is to write down my gratitudes, to simply think from a point of what I already have and not from a point of lack, because that's what you often do. You're like in this downward spiral. You like continuously think about what you're lacking in life and not what you already have. And once you start to appreciate, it becomes so much easier to get into the right energy and to stay in to feel better throughout the day. So I think,
it's like, it's just that's like shifting your perspective. It's like changing the filter over your view of your whole day. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And I feel like every time I forget to do my gratitude, I start going downward, But when I really make it a habit, I think habit.
Hey, what was the difference between the two versions? I didn't hear a difference.
I don't know, habit or habit. I don't know, but that's
I still can't. Are you saying habit? Wait, so habit is the right way to say it, but they sounded
okay. Oh wow, that's amazing. I thought I was okay, but anyways, so when
I honestly didn't hear a difference between the two versions. Oh yay! I have a fur child joining us.
Fur child. But yeah, once you make really gratitude a habit, it becomes part of your positive energy, and it motivates positive.
Right.
Energy. And that positive energy is needed to be a successful entrepreneur. And once you let go of that positive energy, you will definitely also feel it back in your business, as we talked about previously as well. So I think, it's just good to be really aware of self-care when you're an entrepreneur, and not push yourself too far. But I don't know, do you feel like there are what other benefits do you feel like there are of being an entrepreneur?
Well, I think like being able to choose like the career you want, like actually being able to fine-tunely follow your passion, like a very, very specific way, versus like trying to find what you're interested in that someone's already created, which is also cool, like if you don't want to own your own business. But I like being able to be in control and sort of like really get clear on what it is that I want to spend my time doing,
Yeah.
The sun is like so strong in my face right now.
Yeah, I see it.
Like that point in the day, oh, you know what's happening? The neighbor's window, it's like reflecting off the window.
Yeah.
My face. Maybe I'll lower the blinds, but or I'll just scoot over.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, I mean, I like having that control of being able to really like focus on what it is that you care about, versus like, I don't know, having a boss have to tell you like what project to work on that day, or it just feels more like you're just in flow with what your gifts are, if that makes sense.
And I feel also that you attract more people like you once you become an entrepreneur and do something that you truly love, because then you will get recognized with the people come to you, and you will create new friendships and relationships with people. So it's really like also one of the benefits that I acknowledge, that once I started to become an entrepreneur, that I let go of people who didn't fit anymore with me as a person and with my vision and where I want to go, and that I attracted people who do, so it's really the law of attraction, which is really funny. So
right, well, it's like if you're setting a different intention, it's sort of the way like the rest of the world resonates back with that new intention. Because after I like discovered I was a highly sensitive person and became like really passionate about like pursuing what that was and like learning about it, and then joined the Facebook groups, and it was like I connected to you, I've pieced together the business, like all these things started like lining up. I was like, oh, this is so cool how this all like I felt blocked for such a long time, and then as soon as that like opened, it just was like flooding out,
the universe has a good way to tell you which direction to go, and what and lets you know where you are good, what you're good at, and where your passion is at. And once you're there, then you will feel it, because everything will become synchronized with it. So just really
I think even just like, I don't know if this is exactly related to burnout, but just like as a topic in general, when you're feeling blocked in life, like there are so many times in my life where I felt like I was trying to figure out like 7 different pieces of my life puzzle, and I just kept hitting a brick wall like everywhere I looked. Like that's happened to me several times throughout like right after college, and then like at some point maybe in the past few years, and then like really recently, where it just felt like I was trying so hard and every door I tried to open was just like totally slammed. And it's in those moments, like, and this has happened to me enough where each time it's happened, I've recognized it a little bit better and gotten a little less frustrated with it each time, because I sort of recognize like this isn't like punishment. This is the universe trying to like redirect me and make sure I don't go down the wrong.
So you go the right direction.
So like if someone's watching this and they're feeling stuck like that, where they keep hitting a wall, or like every door, every window is being slammed in your face, just like just sit back and be like, okay, like this is like
Yeah.
All you can do is sort of just trust, like, okay, that those things were not meant for you, and whatever it will be will open eventually. Like, you just have to kind of stay neutral and not get caught up in like the
emotion of it.
exactly, like the and feel like you're doomed, because once you get down that spiral of like, oh my god, nothing is working, my life sucks, like you know,
That's what I feel like once you
that's when you're sort of blocked from actually seeing that one little window that is open, you know.
So definitely look for the things that are working out and be grateful for them, and then you will see that the more things will open up for you.
Right, it's easier. It's like when you're not resisting it, there's like a even more smooth path to flow, you know.
Yeah.
It was interesting because I just moved to a new place, and I actually don't know how long I'm going to stay in. I love, like, I'm sure I'll talk about this more, but I love like trying new places to live. And that's kind of the cool thing about the United States, is there's like all these states to explore. But so I bounced around and lived in a bunch of different places, and recently I moved to Colorado, and I was trying to find a place to live for like 6 weeks. That's winter ringing the bells. I'll finish this thought and then I'll go let her out. And it took me like forever, and I was just like place after place, like wasn't the right thing, or it was too expensive, or the roommate situation wasn't working, or whatever, like, or I was about to sign a lease with something and then it fell through, like all this stuff. And then I just felt so stuck, like physically, just in my life, like everything, I just felt like so stuck. And my mom was like, just start, like, get a storage unit and just start moving boxes. She's like, I just feel like you just have to start like physically moving stuff to like shift the energy back in motion. And I was like, you know what, that actually makes a lot of sense. And I feel like it was the day, like I think I had just like moved boxes from one side of the room to the other. I hadn't even like I had been pursuing a storage unit, but I hadn't actually like physically moved things into the storage unit yet. I just started sorting them, like, this is the stuff that's going to go in my car, this is the stuff that's going to go in the unit. I think it was that day that I found a place, and she was so right. It's like I just had to shift that energy to get things to unlock. Yeah,
and I think that's also like when you feel stuck in business, just seek out for new people, seek out for new opportunities, and just get out of your basic rhythm, because that's something. Sometimes you get stuck in this structure, in this routine, or in this structure that you have for your business, and then you suddenly feel stuck, and you're like, why? And then it's time to look up new things and to innovate.
Right. It's almost like that's the key, telling you to like shift your perspective, like look at it a different way. Or especially too, like if you're trying to figure out solve a problem and you're just like, I just can't, like you're just engaged with it constantly, like I can't figure this out, I can't solve the problem. Best thing to do is like disengage, go take your dog on a walk, go work on something else, and then it'll be like you'll be in the middle of doing a mindless activity later, like chopping vegetables, and suddenly get this idea that will fix the problem, you know.
Definitely, you just have to get out of this downward spiral for a while, and
right,
and it will be fine.
Right. I think that's really important for highly sensitive people. It's like we're so in our heads that sometimes you just need to switch gears and like get into your body. Yeah, and that really helps me when I'm going crazy.
And I think mindfulness is really a good one for that, to just meditate, go back to basics, to just focus on the here and now, and let everything just be for a while. Because you like, I always tell myself, what's the worst thing that could happen? Okay, so if this happens, then I'll do that. So that this happens, then I'll do that. It's like you're going to die, and even if it seems like the end of the world, which it sometimes does, but there are like so bad situations out there which you could be in, and if you're not, if you just relate it to how much worse it actually could be, then everything will be much easier to deal with. At least that's a coping mechanism that I have.
Like, oh, definitely. No, I mean, it's a good way to sort of like snap yourself out of those downward spiral thoughts. But
and sometimes your problems seem like really, sometimes you really get stuck in your emotions and in your head, and you feel like, okay, this is the worst that could happen to me. And of course that is fine, it's fine to feel that way, but at some point,
right, but like to step back and be like, there worse things have happened, I've been through worse, I've gotten through worse, or like
give yourself a pep talk.
It's good to acknowledge those feelings, because you don't want to just like shove them away and say like, oh, everything's fine, and you're not. Like but it's good to sort of keep a big picture perspective of like, in the broad scheme of things, like this will pass, you will figure this out, And I think so. It's like you have to acknowledge how you're feeling, but you have to stop it before it gets like blown out of proportion.
Yes, definitely, because that's what at least I did a lot in the past, to like blow it out of proportion, and then things just became chaotic. And once I started to feel more balanced and go more into the rational side. I still feel a lot, but once I recognize that my emotions are taken over, then I'm just stepping out of the situation, going into the rational, and then after a while they don't feel it dramatic anymore. So
and actually, like, so I'll probably bring my ex up a few times because he's been a very important influence to me, and we're separated at the moment. But I don't want that to be where I like can't bring up this important relationship, because like having him around when I was dealing with stuff like that, like having someone who knew me really well to be able to say like, I love you, but you're spitting out right now, and be able to help you say like, okay, bring you back to earth for a second. Like how can you solve this? How can you like take a break? I mean, that was one of the things he'd always say to me was like, oh, if you can't figure it out right now, like that's okay. Like go rest, go take a nap, go take a walk, like do something else, do something for yourself. And having, as a highly sensitive person, like having someone say that to me that like allowed me like, oh, I can do that. Like,
wow.
I think having someone, like whether it's a spouse or like a friend or a roommate or a parent or sibling, like whoever is in your life, like having that person around that can sort of see that happening and help you sort of snap out of it. And like I did the same thing for him too, and he's not like a highly sensitive person, but like anytime you're like sort of spiraling out and getting into that like negative, thought pattern in your head of like, if you can do it for yourself, that's awesome, but it takes like a great deal of self-awareness. Obviously it's a practice of recognizing when that's happening. But it definitely, I mean, if you have like a friend or someone around that can like help you with that
when it's happening,
right, it's like a huge asset to yourself, like self-improvement and your business and whatever it is that you're like dealing with,
I think like when I met my fiance 5 years ago, I really struggled with being like this balanced person who could just let like these tough situations be for a while. And looking at like 5 years further, it's like much easier to acknowledge it myself. And like my boyfriend or like my fiance boyfriend,
I'm sure, because it's still new for you, I'm sure you're still getting used to like switching pronoun.
But anyway, so now sometimes my fiance laughs at me because I'm like doing this progress on my own. He doesn't have to tell me anymore, like, okay, now you're really getting into your emotions. Like now at this point, I'm like, okay, so this is happening. Okay, this I'm feeling. Okay, okay, I need to step out of it. I'm going for a walk, and he's just watching. Like, okay, she's her own therapist. That's great.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome, and it's interesting too. Like, I don't know how detailed we'll want to like go into depth on this channel with our relationships, but I do think it's like an interesting perspective, because we've talked about a lot this before, like because your partner is highly sensitive and my partner wasn't. So it was like but there was still like common themes of like how to be in a relationship as a highly sensitive person, and how to ask for what you need, and to like have a different perspective of someone that's like seeing you do stuff. I mean, I don't know if like, does he have the same sort of highly sensitive thing where he goes through the same process?
And well, he's much more of a silent person. He's much more introverted than I am, so he usually deals with his emotions on the inside. And
I wonder if that's just a male thing though, because that seems to be the theme. Like maybe there's a difference between female and male highly sensitive.
Yeah, definitely, I think so. So it's like we definitely
anyone in the comments wants to like if you're a male highly sensitive person, I would love to hear your thoughts.
I'm so curious too if like they open up about it. But at least my boyfriend, who's highly sensitive, does not really talk all the time. He does talk. Yeah, he's become better at it, but he also had to grow. We grew together. Like when we met 5 years ago, we both
totally
different. I was like this outburst of emotions, and he was like keeping it in until the explosion came. So I just
that's like, so many similarities. Like, and obviously we won't go into like too much detail just to like respect their privacy. But like that was one of the things we connected, I think, a lot in the beginning when we first started talking too. Was like me and my ex were like that too, where it was like we really learned from each other, because I was like so out there with all my emotions, and he was very like, I don't want to like go there. And so it was like a really good balance to sort of see how the other one like coped, and we sort of helped each other like
to find
a better middle ground.
So I think it's really different from person. Even if you're highly sensitive male or highly sensitive female, communication is like so broad. So
Right. Well, it all depends on like your past experiences and like how you view the world and what like specific traumas you've been through. Like, all that stuff.
That's a whole different topic.
Yeah, of course. I think that, I mean, I would assume or guess that with highly sensitive men, that because of that like stigma of being sensitive, that they probably struggle even more.
I think so too.
Because like I would probably, men in general struggle with that, but like if you're highly sensitive and you're feeling that stuff even more, but you still can't express it because society says whatever, it's like, I would imagine that's even more intense. I think it would be interesting someday to have like a guest speaker who's a male highly sensitive person, because obviously like we're so open and we can talk about all this stuff, but like I don't think I've ever been able to really dive deep with any like male highly sensitive person to see like how they experience things differently.
I would really be happy. So if you're like keen to talk with us about what it is like to be a highly sensitive person as a male, just my series just reacting.
Is your phone a highly sensitive male?
Yeah, she was responding to me saying no, but anyways, what I was trying to say, if you're a highly sensitive male and you would like to talk with us about what it is like to have the trait and to be in a relationship and what you're struggling with, just feel free to send us a personal message, and we can definitely
and even like how you process emotions as a highly sensitive male.
I'm so curious about. Would be very awesome. So anyways, I guess that wraps it up.
We kind of went off topic again. But that's gonna happen.
Off key, but that happens sometimes when highly sensitive friends are talking, right?
Of course. We're just I mean, I think it's all gonna be relevant. We're just gonna be all over the place. But that's like just the natural flow of conversation. But actually I wanted to read this because I made this tea this morning, and like on the, I think it's the Yogi brand. Yogi has like quotes on the back whenever you like pull a tea bag out. So this one says, "Be kind to others, but always be compassionate to yourself." So I feel like it's probably way too bright to read this.
I see.
But and it's probably backwards. But I felt like that was, when I saw it this morning, I was like, oh, that's perfect for the talk that we're gonna do, because it's like, be kind to others, but always be compassionate to yourself. And I think that's like highly sensitive people and empaths tend to forget about themselves as like a top priority, and tend to beat ourselves up too. So
and that's both
feeling burned out and everything. It's like, remember to not sit there and say that you are a failure and you feel like crap and whatever. Like
just be compassionate, treat yourself as you would treat your friend, and then everything will be fine. Anyways, that was it for today, and we hope to hear from some of you who are considering to become an entrepreneur, what you're struggling with, why you're still doubting whether you want to be an entrepreneur. And of course we will react to everyone who's commenting, so feel free to ask all your questions, and we'll see you next time. High five.
Yay. Oh my gosh. Well, hello everyone again.
Again?
Hello everyone. Maybe we should start over.
I think we're still recording, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
I love how like long, like you didn't just do that, like I don't even know.
Oh no, wait, I need to put on my headband again because I took it off because I'm talking.
Continuity issues.
I was just like, no, this sounds good. Okay, no, but okay.
Oh my god, I love it.